Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for another live webinar session brought to you by EE Tech Media and allaboutcircuits.com. My name is Jason Montgomery, and I'll be the moderator for this session here today. We're very excited to have you here for this session, which is titled Omron's High Performance Switches for the Esports Gaming Industry. I'll take a moment to tell you a bit about our presenter in a moment, but first, let me remind everyone that you've got that Q&A box that's in the corner of your screen there, and please make sure to be using that to submit any questions that you might have as we're listening to this session here today. I'm very excited to get Evan's presentation, and I know that we'll have a good Q&A session after the presentation we're about to hear. Let me tell you a bit about our presenter, and I'll hand it off to him. Our presenter is Evan Kuhn, who's a business development manager for Omron. He attended Northern Illinois University, where he obtained his Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering Technology. Starting as a product marketing intern with Omron, Evan began his career in inside sales after school and then became the territory manager for the Pacific Northwest. Currently residing in Seattle, he is now Omron's business development manager for the automated test equipment and esport industries. Very excited to have Evan and Omron here today. And again, everyone, please make sure to be submitting those questions as we go through this presentation. And with that, I will hand it off to Evan.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much and welcome in to Omron's latest webinar. My name is Evan Kuhn, Business Development Manager, and today I'm going to be presenting on high-performance switches for the esports gaming industry, primarily targeted at performance mice and controllers. So before we get into today's webinar, I would like to start it off with a survey question, one of 4, and these are going to be presented throughout today's webinar. I'd like to give each of you all a little bit of time, maybe 10 to 20 seconds, just to answer these questions. The first of which being, before we get into today's webinar, which product category best describes how you recognize Omron within gaming? This could be our flagship mice series of switches, our keyboard switches, switches found within competitive controllers, or maybe you know us from a component in another industry or in another industry altogether. So go ahead and take some time to answer that question. There will be 4 of these throughout today's webinar, and you'll go ahead and be able to answer those retroactively if you do miss when they pop up. So Omron as a corporation is a multi-division company, and we have the mission statement of pursuing innovation driven by social needs for creating a better society. And this is made up split as a goal between 4 different divisions, one of which being our industrial automation business, our device and module solutions business, our social systems solutions and service, as well as healthcare. Our products that we'll be discussing today are found within our device and module solutions business, which is made up of 4 different component categories, that being relays, switches, sensors, and connectors. So Device and Module Solutions company from Omron, with our connecting and switching technologies, aims to become a company that resolves societal issues with its customers, you guys. And so with that, we have split up into 8 different subcategories that we see a need in different industries to address those social needs. One of which being our DC drive devices, our DC infrastructure devices targeted towards the electrification of vehicles and green energy, such as solar power, which can utilize our high power relays, our high frequency devices, which is targeted towards enabling 5G and improving upon semiconductor chip technologies to improve the information age, as well as our remote and VR devices, which our esports switches fall within as these headsets continue to adapt, not only for gaming, but also in educational purposes and situations, as well as providing people with disabilities the ability to find different needs within their homes and ale those enablements. We also have automotive relays for mobility, a presence within our pachinko slot machines, factory automation, as well as smart home and building for some of our IoT and sensing technologies. So today's webinar within DMS is going to be all about high performance switches for esports. This is primarily targeted towards controllers and performance mice. So before we dive into our 3 different switches we'll be covering today, I'd like to ask my second survey question. Which category best defines the product that you are considering Omron performance switches for? Is it a gaming mouse or potentially a ergonomic or business style of mouse, a controller for performance and esports, as well as PC or console varying peripheral, other types of styles of keyboards or mice, or another product category altogether that might utilize some type of snap action detection switch? So I'll go ahead and give you all a few seconds to answer. And the 3 switches that we will be covering today cover a wide variety of operations, shapes, and sizes, as including functionality. The first being our D2FC flagship mouse switch. This is a micro switch that has operations offerings at 5, 10, 20, 50, and 60 million operations. This is our flagship mouse switch, which has recently been improved at the 50 and 60 million operation range to improve that click feeling and provide gamers with that instant feedback that they know that signal is being sent and they've done their actuation, so they can move on to the next action when millions of dollars are on the line in these styles of tournaments. We've also worked closely with mice manufacturers with the D2FC to understand, as mice continued to trend towards a more wireless, lightweight solution, manufacturers wanted to maintain that battery life that they were achieving. And by doing this, one of the things was sending a lower electrical signal, which was causing chatter within switches. So we've worked closely to develop this switch, tweak it to the exact signal that mice manufacturers are sending. So we're able to provide gamers with those true 60 million operation ratings, that they can experience the same click feeling and understand that they're going to have that signal sent from operation 1 all the way to operation 60 million. So we'll get into more on the D2FC as well as our brand new D2FP optical mouse switch. This is a brand new offering from Omron using sensing technology to achieve an operation rating all the way up to 70 million operations. And that's the first mouse switch that we'll be covering today. We'll also go in depth on our ultra Subminiature switch, the D2LS, which has been featured in competitive controllers with operation ranging from 5 million, 10 million, and 20 million operations. This is a great solution as well for mice side buttons, so it provides dual application in that regard as well. So getting into our first mouse switch of the day, which is the D2FP optical switch, a brand new solution from Omron. This mouse switch is the next generation of my switch, which is a segment that we've dominated with the D2FC and really achieved an industry standard in my switch. By moving to a sensing technology, we're able to achieve a fast response time and high reliability. However, gamers will be at ease to know and pleased to understand that they're still going to be feeling that same click feeling that they know and love and have used with Omron products for decades, as that has been recognized as the de facto standard in mice buttons, inherited directly from the D2FC. And we'll get into a little bit about how we're able to achieve that in a sensing product. So that key feature being that fast response time, going from switching contacts and having some type of debounce, now where you're sending a signal through a sensor, you're able to send that almost immediately, providing a much more fast response time, giving gamers still that tactile feedback of a snap action switch. By moving to a sensing technology, we also can achieve extreme high reliability all the way up to 70 million operations, and you don't have to worry about contacts rubbing or failing over time as that material wears down. This is also a lower power consumption product by enabling different turn on and turn off times of the LED. So by having the LED off for a majority of your polling rate, this allows to save power within your mice over time. And of course, achieving that same clear click feeling that gamers love so that they can feel that tactile feedback, understand that signal is sent, and they can move on to their next action, especially when it matters most in these tournaments. So going further in depth into that response time, and you can see side by side just how it stacks up to a mechanical switch, even at a high industry standard like the D2FC. The D2FP optical switch is able to achieve a response time of just 15 microseconds, and comparing that to a mechanical switch, which has a typical response time of 5 milliseconds. And the reason being is that you don't have any signal bounce. So once that LED is tripped within the sensor embedded within the switch, it sends that signal directly through the mouse to your machine. Where as opposed to using a mechanical switch, there's going to be some contact between the contacts, which allows for debouncing and a little bit of a signal bounce time, causing that 5 millisecond delay. So this is ultimately providing a much faster solution for competitive gamer and your customers, consumers. Achieving both the clear click feeling along with low power consumption embedded with a LED and sensing technology is really what Omron wanted to achieve with the D2FP. And they worked incredibly hard to achieve that same high click ratio and that clear click feeling that everyone recognizes from the D2FC. So it wouldn't feel like gamers are really going through this drastic change, right? They still recognize maybe all between the different mice that they use when Omron is in there. That's the feeling that they prefer the most. And so we're still able to bring that feeling to them just with a lot more quality and longevity now in a sensing solution. And we have low friction with a smooth operation feel. You don't have to worry about contacts rubbing together, rather just a shutter that's tripping these sensing beams. The same click sound as well as the mechanical switch because we're pulling in that same lever from the D2FC. And low power consumption with the polling rate. You have your switch input polling rate at just 30 microseconds with that turn on time of 15 microseconds allows you to turn that LED off for an extended period of time through the polling rate of 1 millisecond, which allows you to save battery in your mouse overall, keep that lightweight design while moving to a premium optical solution. Is really where the market is trending. And we know it's what gamers want, a mouse that's not going to fail on them when it matters most. So how we achieve that clear click feeling and low power consumption in a one body design. As you can see on the left-hand side of our screen here, we're looking at an internal view of the D2FP structure alongside the D2FC structure. And in the D2FP and the D2FC, you can notice that semicircle that's making contact. That's providing gamers with that tactile feeling, that same tactile feeling. However, this time, as opposed to that being used to send a pulse and a signal directly to a contact, which again caused that 5 millisecond bounce time, instead, we have it attached to a low friction shutter, which you see at the bottom of your screen. And what that does is the moment you get that tactile feeling, you know that that shutter is going to be tripping a sensor between the emitter and the collector, the two separate LEDs, as you can see across the body of the switch. There's one on the near side and one on the far side. And so Omron really worked hard to achieve that quality level so that when gamers feel that tactile feedback, they know that that signal is being tripped. And it allows us to give customers the confidence that they're getting that Omron quality and they don't have to worry about sensor alignment or any type of struggle. And because it's the same materials internally, you're getting that same click sound and feeling that's the de facto standard from the D2FC. This low power consumption is also found within a one body design as the optical sensor is assembled inside of the switch. And so what that looks like and provides a greater value to you, the customer and mouse manufacturer, that we're able to embed the sensor already. So you don't have to go out and find that sensor, procure it, as well as align it properly on your board where you have to do some type of high accuracy adjustment to ensure when that shutter drops down and the gamer feels that tactile feedback, that they're getting that signal sent from the sensor at the same time. So because we embedded this into the Omron switch, we're providing that guarantee to you that when the gamer gets that tactile feedback, that signal is being sent at that same moment. And this is something that we really worked hard on to achieve and provide that value to our customers and mice manufacturers throughout the globe, as opposed to them having to go out and procure their own solution to find what's necessary. This is something that we really wanted to add as a feature in the D2FP, and we've been able to achieve it at a high level. So we're very excited to get this product out for you all so that you can get it in your hands and start testing this technology. Now that we concluded our D2FP optical mouse switch, I would like to kick it off with our third survey question of the day. Which switch contact style are you currently using in your products? Just to get a better sense, whether that's a mechanical switch already within a mouse or even a controller. Are you already using an optical solution within mice? Or primarily for the controller crowd, are you using a membrane solution? Great. Thanks so much for your feedback on that. And now we'll get into our mechanical side of the presentation, starting with our flagship D2FC micro switch. The D2FC has really been proven as the de facto standard for years within mice switch, especially gaming mice, as it provides gamers with that sound and crisp click feeling that they know and love. And we've also been at the forefront of providing that high durability, working together with mice manufacturers to achieve and understand the signal that they want to send. As mice trended towards more lightweight, lower power operation, we wanted to ensure that even though the industry moved that way, our switches are caught up to speed, and that way we're not experiencing any type of double click, and that gamers are getting that full crisp click solution from operation 1 all the way to 60 million operations. So as you can see with the variety of operations, these are clearly designed for long life, from a plethora of offerings, from something more economical to something more in the mid-range for gaming mice, as well as all the way at the high end for 60 million. We provide that clear click feeling and nice sound, which we're constantly tweaking and improving to provide gamers more of that tactile feedback that they appreciate, especially when it matters most, so they can move on to that next action. We're giving them relief and reliable performance, knowing that that operation is going to work from 1 all the way to 60 million. And you're providing you with the customer with the durability range and offerings from 5 all the way to 60 million operations at 10, 20, 50, as well as 60. We also offer a variety of operating forces depending on your feeling preference, from 0.44 to 0.74 newtons. The button color is dependent on your operation selection, white being from 5 to 20, a blue plunger showcased at 50 million, and an orange at 60 million. And all of this found within a very small package size of 12.8 by 5.8 by 6.5 millimeters. So you can see here a further look at some of these dimensions. If you'd like any type of samples, of course, of the D2FC and the recent improvements for double click, as well as click feeling, please feel free to reach out to your local Omron sales contact. This is something that we've worked hard and have since rolled out. That way we can keep up with that industry trend and provide gamers with it, continue to be the name that provides that high quality solution in those mice products. From our flagship D2FC, we'll now switch gears into the ultra sub-miniature switch, our D2LS. This ultra sub-miniature switch, which has been found in side switches for mice, as well as now being adopted heavily in the controller gaming scene. This is a compact surface mount switch that's ideal for applications that require that long durability, which is why we've seen it really adopted and grabbed onto in that custom controller market. And we're looking to continue to broaden that and provide gamers that not only the PC gamers have experienced the benefit of using mice switches with that immediate tactile feedback, but bringing that to the console generation as well. And so these are offered in a very compact size of just 8.6 by 4.8 by 3 millimeters. You're getting that clear click feeling that transfers over, something similar from the D2FC. So we can bring that into multiple surfaces within a controller. So these are not only being found as just a solution for maybe your face buttons, but also your D-pad. We've seen this adopted into the bumpers and even triggers of controllers. So for anyone that's more focused in the competitive gaming, such as a first-person shooter, as opposed to waiting for that full trigger press before they can move on to their next action, some gamers are moving towards a snap action switch. That way They know exactly, they're getting that tactile feedback when that signal is going to be sent to the game, and they can get on to their next action just like as if it was a mouse switch. So it's really a great solution for that, not only in the triggers, but the face buttons as well. If you're doing something like a fighting game or sports game, you're getting that immediate feeling and feedback. Whereas if you were using something like a membrane solution, rather, you're not necessarily certain when exactly that press is sent at the exact moment. You know, when you complete the full actuation that the signal will be sent, but at what point is the signal sent? And that's where it becomes a little muddy with membrane. It also will not provide the operation ratings as something like an ultra subminiature basic switch would. So we have operation ratings from 5 to 10 to 20 million operations at a varying operating force of 1.2 newtons to 0.6 newtons. The plunger color is going to be dependent on your selection of operating force, as well as body color is dependent on the operation ratings. Again, very compact size in surface mount switching. We have since found this adoption into the controller market and have made some adjustments to the switch for that. So you'll notice in the dimension picture on your right-hand side that there are 2 retention clips found on the bottom of the switch. We have since come up with a model that removes those for ease of solderability directly onto FPC connectors, especially making it easier to install into a controller solution. So you're able to create an FPC, adopt these into your D-pad, your face buttons, as well as your bumper and triggers with ease. With that, that concludes my product category for the day. I'd like to conclude our presentation with a final survey question before we get into some of the more Omron related details. But over the course of today's presentation, between the D2FP, the D2FC, as well as the D2LS, which feature is most important to your products and consumers? We'd like to know if it's something along the lines of high durability based on the operation rating. Is it that repeatable click feeling that gamers cling on to over the years? Or is it that fast response time so that they know exactly when that signal's sent? They don't have to worry about any type of debouncing. Or is it another? And it's maybe something that we might be able to chat about more offline, or you can provide it in the chat or in the Q&A of today's webinar. So I'll give you some time to answer that question before we move on. You can find us at these great locations. Components.omron.com is our website, where we will be producing an esports landing page featuring some of the products that you saw today, where you can get a little bit more technical information. I strongly encourage you to also follow us on LinkedIn so you can find out about different events, as well as our fantastic Creative Lab series that we've been uploading to our YouTube channel as well. And you can always get our updates directly on Twitter using these QR codes below, or you can search us via Omron Electronic Components Americas as well. Our headquarters location found in Hoffman Estates, Illinois. That's it for today's presentation. Again, my name is Evan Kuhn, Business Development Manager for our esports industry. You can find my location. Feel free to reach out to me directly at evan.kuhn@omron.com. We can chat a little bit offline about some of these, maybe set up a technical presentation going in depth on some of these switches. If you'd like to request pricing or any type of samples, please feel free to reach out to your local Omron sales contact. If you do not have the information, please go to our website and you can reach out to them directly, and feel free to contact us at any time. I would now like to open the floor up to any questions for our Q&A. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Evan, very much. This is Jason here again. Can you hear me okay?
Hi, Jason. I can hear you.
Fantastic. Well, Evan, thank you so much for that presentation. As you were just saying, we're going to get into some Q&A that we've gotten in just a moment. As another reminder to people, if you have anything that's come up during the presentation, this is a perfect time to get these questions in front of Evan, and we're excited to go into those in just a moment. I'll also note to anyone who's watching this session on any of our social media services or who are streaming that we're going to be closing down these live streams right now, and that you can hop onto the All About Circuits registration page and be able to come into the big marker page to watch the Q&A live as well. So make sure that you're joining in for that. And Evan, with that, I can see we've got a good number of questions. So let's start going through these. The first thing that I'm seeing here is, are there different operation ratings available for each switch?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Jason. Yes, that is a great question. I will skim back, but each of these switches does have a varying operation rating available. However, except for our D2FP. So as you can see on this slide here, the D2FC does have varying operations available from 5, 10, 20, 50, and even 60 million operations. So depending on the class of switch that you want to implement, say, into your mouse, maybe you want something that's a bit lower end and you want to stick to the 5 million, or you're producing some type of business class ergonomic or high-end gaming mouse and you want to implement something with 60 million operations, that option is also available. The D2FP currently is only available in 70 million operations. And for the D2LS Ultra Subminiature Basic Switch, we have 5, 10, and 20 million operation models available.
Great. And another question that I'm seeing here is, are there data sheets available online for these switches?
So we do have a data sheet available directly online for the D2LS. That's an Ultra Subminiature Basic Switch. It's also the switch that you'll be able to find through local distributors and get samples readily available. So we also have that included in our handouts today. For something like the D2FC or D2FP, if you reach out to myself or your local Omron rep, we can get you that information as well as a spec sheet.
Perfect. And I will note for the handouts, as we're mentioning it, I know we have some questions coming in as well. We've got data sheet and the version of the slides that are going to be available. I think everyone should be able to see those up at the top of their screen. For people who are in attendance, you can grab those here while we're going through the Q&A right now. So that's a great time to bring that up, Evan. Another question that I'm seeing here is, are sensors already installed and aligned within the D2FP?
Yes, so that's a great question. They are already installed. So as we covered, this is a D2FP features a one body design. And so what that means is that the sensors are already embedded. As you can see on the left-hand side is the D2FP, where something on the right-hand side, that separate body design, is something that might be featured in the industry already. So you have to go out and procure your own sensors, and you have to implement them in a high accuracy way, so that when gamers are getting that tactile feeling, that they know that the sensor is being tripped at that same time, where our sensors are already embedded within the design, making that step of the manufacturing process just a little bit easier for our customers.
Great. Another question that I'm seeing here, I think this is a good one, Evan. On D2FP, will the click feel degrade over time, even though the signal is optical and allows for longer life? Is there a feel within that kind of tactile click in particular that you can talk about?
Sure. So that's absolutely a part of the operation rating process. And so, what we do at Omron in our diligent testing, we ensure that is a part of it. Whereas when we're rating something like the D2FC, you're really only looking at that contact rating along with the click feel. So the click feel is something we do take into consideration in terms of operation. But we're, really making sure that gamers are getting that quality click feeling from operation 1 all the way up to 60 million. And in the case of the D2FP, 70 million. But that is a part of the operation rating process, certainly.
Another question that I'm seeing here, maybe we were just touching on this, but how is tactile feeling achieved in an optical switch?
Sure. So even looking at this same slide here, and you can see kind of that semicircle that we went over. That's really when that is hitting certain segments within the switch. That's providing that snap over feeling. And so because we implemented that same internal D2FC structure within the D2FP, instead of switching over a contact, we instead implemented a shutter. So you're not necessarily sending that signal with that tactile feeling. Instead, you're sending that shutter to interrupt that LED sensor instead. So you still have that same tactile structure within, but instead of being connected to a contact, it's connected to a shutter instead. That's going to trip the LED sensor. Great
Some
question.
questions about getting our hands on this. When will this be available for purchase?
Sure. So we have samples readily available today. So if you reach out to your Omron rep, we can go ahead and get to testing and help you through that design in process as soon as today.
And a couple more questions that I'm seeing here that I'm going to loop together. Where can I go to purchase them, or how can I get in touch with someone who can help facilitate that? Might have been a slide, I think, on that in that.
Sure thing. Yeah. So reaching out to your local Omron rep. I'll kind of put those back on where you can find us. If you don't have your local Omron rep's contact, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll put my email up on the screen, evan.kuhn at omron.com again here. But if you don't have your local sales rep and you're just looking to reach out for some type of samples, please feel free to go to our website. We've got a great contact us section, and you might be able to find some sales information from inside sales, as well as some of our distributor partners, and as well as just a contact us if you want to request technical information. You can do that all directly from our website at components.omron.com.
Perfect. Thank you, Evan. This question, you might not be able to answer this question, and we'll just move on. If if not, it's no problem. People are curious if there are any systems customers or anything like that where they could see Omron switches being used in consoles. Are there any examples like that you're able to talk about, or not at this point?
Sure. One example that I am able to talk about at this time is a custom controller featured customer that we've been working with called Battle Beaver. But if any type of other any other information, we might be able to chat a little bit more in depth online, including some demos of that product.
Great. Thank you very much. I know people
Thanks.
will be interested in that.
Sure.
Let's see here. What area of controllers and mice best utilize the D2LS?
Sure, that's a great question. So the D2LS, because of its compact size, can really be featured all over a controller. And so we've seen it implemented in the directional pad on a controller, as well as the face buttons on a controller, the bumpers, and even adapted for the triggers on the back of some of the latest controllers that are on the market. And so that really provides a unique, versatile solution depending on how manufacturers are willing to navigate and implement this type of switch within their product. And for my solutions, because it is of a smaller size, this can be used as your traditional mouse switch, or even implemented as your kind of side actuation buttons as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Another question that I'm seeing here, do you have recommended sensors to use for the D2FP?
Right. So that's kind of playing off of the previous question that we had. So we actually don't have recommended sensors because this is a one body design. So we're already providing that sensing solution aligned and installed for you within the D2FP switch. So we don't have to have you worry about going out to procure and doing any type of technical alignment to ensure that you're getting that tactile feeling right when the sensor is sending that signal. So this is already selected by Omron and placed within the switch itself.
Great. And sorry to have you jump all over your your slide deck like this.
No problem.
Back to the D2LS. Will removing the retention clips on the D2LS affect performance?
Sure. So that's a great question. No. So removing the retention clips, because this is something more on the body and the packaging itself. It's more done. We remove these as a convenience feature. So it provides an ease of soldering directly to your FPC to implement that right into a controller. So that provides customers with a great value, and you don't have to worry about maybe those retention clips getting in the way or having to account for those in your FPC if you don't want them. So it's a nice added feature and an added model list that we've kind of rolled out specifically for this application.
Great. Thank you again, Evan. Another question that I'm seeing here, I know we've talked about different resources, getting in touch with different people. Another question here is, where can I find a spec sheet for these switches?
Sure thing. So if you reach out to myself as well as your local Omron rep, we'll be able to provide that for you and get you any type of technical information that you might need. So we've already have a version available for our D2FP optical switch. And of course, depending on the type of operation rating, as well as actuation force that you're looking for in the D2LS or D2FC, we can also provide that for you, along with a plethora of other specifications found throughout the switch, dimensions, as well as a precautionary document on how we recommend soldering and installing these switches as well, just so we can ensure that you're getting that best switch possible and ensuring that we're installing that Omron quality within your product.
Got it. Thank you very much. Well, Evan, I'm looking at the Q&A here, and I'm seeing an empty log. I think we've gone through a lot of really great questions here so far. I do want to make sure to give our audience just a few more minutes in case there is anything else that's on their mind. So maybe I'll throw it back to you. Is there anything else that we want to make sure that we're touching on, or anything else you'd like to emphasize as we might be getting close to closing up the session here?
Sure thing. Yeah, I strongly encourage that, we are working to provide and make these switches more readily available. So I do want to once again plug our website as well as our YouTube series. You'll be able to access this webinar at a later date, as well as on demand if you registered through EE Tech. And so we've got a great YouTube channel with our Creative Lab series, and we're working on getting more esports content and our solutions out to you all. We're working on a lot of great products, as you can see with our latest D2FP. So I strongly encourage that you reach out to your local Omron rep so we can go more in depth about these products and have some demos as well as samples readily available for you. Our website, we will be rolling out an esports landing page, which we're really excited about. We're going to have some great features on there, and you'll be able to access that at any time and get more technical information about these switches on the go. So that should be rolling out in the coming months here. So we're really excited to send that out and get that live to everyone.
Fantastic. Thank you, Evan, very much. I do have a question here, and we can follow up maybe for some more information if we need clarification. The question is asking about the wavelengths that are used in the sensors that have been talked about today, and if that's something that is significant for people to think about when they're designing.
Sure thing. So we do have some more spec sheet information available, and we can chat a little bit offline. I'll be sure. Please feel free to reach out to me directly so we can talk a little bit more about that. We do also have some reference design on how you can send that type of these types of signals to save your battery, as I mentioned today. We can go a little bit more in depth on that. So please feel free to reach out, and we can get you that spec sheet with more information on the exact signal that's being sent through that sensor.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And for Logan, who's the person who submitted that question, we'll make sure that we get you connected with Evan, and that y'all can get into kind of the deep technical conversation that I'm sure will need to happen to really dive into that question. So
absolutely.
Evan, with that, I think that we're at a great spot here. This was a fantastic Q&A, which doesn't surprise me. I think this is a topic that a lot of people are interested in. We've seen a lot of interest, certainly from the audience here today. I want to thank you and Omron for joining us here today for this session. Thank you so much for your time, Evan. And
thank you so much, Jason. I really appreciate your work as well. And thank you to everyone at the EE Tech team for making this happen. So ran really smoothly. So thank you so much to everyone on the back end as well. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. And most of all, I want to thank everyone who's been here in the audience that's made this a great live session that we've had here today. I always look forward to Omron sessions and hope to have another session with you again sometime soon, Evan.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure we'll have one shortly. So thank you, everyone, for joining. Really appreciate your time, and take care.
Great. Thank you, everyone, very much. I'm Jason Montgomery with EE Tech Media and allaboutcircuits.com, and we look forward to seeing you in another live webinar session again sometime soon.